most of them has not the same origin. Most of them massively are converted to Judaism from the 200 before Jesus Christ till the 18th century, 19th century.
When you, Harry, the children of Israel, when they were in Egypt for 400 years, did they? Would it be safe to say that they mixed with a lot of the Egyptians and the Cushites that lived in the land?
I mean, we see, Joseph had an Egyptian wife, right?
Correct. Was the Egyptians back then, were they black or were they white?
I don't think that society back then.
No. You know the history. You know what Herodotus said. You know different scholars say. You know what the pictures look like on the walls of Egypt. You know what the wooden statues of the Egyptians with afros and brown skin, what they look like. So were they black or were they white?
Yeah. Well, just to put this into context, you're answering my elaborate question with going back in time, 1,000 or 2,000 years. I just want to throw that out there. But from my understanding of history, yes, we're dealing with a period of dark-skinned people, which I've never denied on record that was the color of most people back then. But I also know that there were codes and societies that had mixed colors because your color didn't determine your standing in a society. It was rather your class, maybe on your wealth, etc. So you would have had in ancient Rome or ancient Greece maybe very influential, high-profile, dark-skinned people who had powerful positions. And I would speculate over the last 1,000, 2,000 years that may have been the same in Egypt. But let me go again. We're dancing around the point that I'm trying to really solidify here for your viewers who, when I'm not on the line, you can kind of speak about me and what I've said and spin the story your way. But now I'm here, I'm in front of your face, and I'm calling you out and saying, what's good?
You're right. So what we're gonna do is, because you like to dance, and you like to say a lot of mumbo jumbo, but wait, Harry, listen, Harry. The sons of Ham, were they people of color? Were they black? Were they people of color? Were they black people? Were they? Yes or no? That's the question. We're gonna get to the bottom of this. Were they black or were they white? The sons of Ham.
Yeah. Well, let me just be very clear with this. I've been saying this the whole time. Irregardless of
this, I just answer the question, Harry. Say yes or no. Were they black or were they white? You should know this.
I know for certain that people back then were marrying and having genetic breeding amongst multiple different tribes, even the Torah in your past.
But the whole thing that you're trying to prove is that you guys are the original Israelites, and when you were in Iberia, you guys were writing about stuff, saying that you were the Jews from 500 AD to like before the Spanish Inquisition. You guys said you had the records. You guys said you've always kept Torah. I mean, have you guys always kept Torah? Have you always guys kept Torah and knew about your Hebrew traditions and customs?
There has not been one year or 1 week that a Shabbat has not been kept since the destruction of the temple without fail. There hasn't been.
Wait, the first temple or the second temple?
I would say the first temple. When Ezra and Nehemiah came back from Babylon.
So basically, you're saying you haven't missed a Shabbat since the first temple that was erected during the time, like basically around 900 BC. So you're going back almost 3,000 years. So wait. So if you haven't missed not one Shabbat, and of course if you haven't missed Shabbat, that means you've always followed Torah and you've always had the language of Hebrew. Why is it that before the creation of the state of Israel, that the majority of people living in the Pale settlements in southern Russia, in Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, or Turkmenistan, or Kyrgyzstan, Eastern Europe, whatever you want to call it, between Caucasian, why do people come out speaking the Germanic, Slavic, and Turkish language? And it wasn't until they went to Hebrew school and they infused modern Hebrew into their original ancestral language that you come up with the form of the language called Yiddish. Most Ashkenazi Jews that are 80 years old, before they even had 1948, the state of Israel, I asked them, what was your language before you learned Hebrew? They said, we were a Turkish, Slavic, Germanic people. I said, where did Yiddish come from? Everybody that is old enough to be in the Holocaust, they said, we went to Hebrew school. We had to go to Hebrew school to learn this. We didn't know this. This was our ancestry from Central Asia. And so you guys infuse a language. You guys didn't just keep the Hebrew language from the first Shabbat back in the first temple and kept speaking Hebrew all the way until today. You guys had an ancestral origin, which is from Japhet and you guys merged Hebrew with your Turkish, Slavic, Germanic, Central Asian, Eastern European language, and came up with Yiddish. You know Yiddish is not real Hebrew, but now wait a minute. You know this. I mean, you know this. You know this. You cannot say that you're the original people of the book because you don't even know how to write and read Paleo Hebrew. That's what they were writing back in the day.
All right, let him answer that.
Yeah. He comes and asks me how is it possible these guys in this region spoke that language? This region spoke that language. How is it possible you speak a good Chicago slang? How is it possible you got a good English? Oh, is your whole community reading Paleo Hebrew? According to your logic, if they're not, then they're not the real people of Israel. Yeah, my people were sent into exile just like the whole house of Israel. You just built a whole logic that discredits your whole thing. Just because you don't know Paleo Hebrew doesn't mean you can't be from the house of Israel. When Ezra and Nehemiah came back from Babylon, they had to reteach the people everything. Why? Because they went into exile. We never went a generation without a sage representing the Torah for the children of Israel, and I'm asking you specifically about a 700-year period of sages where you say they were from the real people of Israel, and I have what they wrote down, and it was in Hebrew. They wrote Hebrew poems, they spoke Hebrew amongst each other, and when they didn't want to converse in the Holy Tongue, they spoke Ladino in Spain, not Yiddish, they spoke Ladino. But these people had a unified...
Ladino is a Romance language, you know that. You know what the Romance language, Romance language is coming from.
Just like you speak English, bro. You're in the exile, you learn the language of your exile.
English is a Germanic language, so it's a come from a different family. Okay, so the Romance language is also tied into Latin as well. So you guys speak Ladino, or whether it's Yiddish, it's still not Hebrew. No, you guys are not speaking ancient Hebrew.
We're speaking the language of our exile land, and that theme is across the whole entire globe, including yourself, who is speaking English right now.
Wait a minute. The Arab. Remember, in the Bible, it says that the children of Israel will lose their heritage. Now, look at the Arabs. The Arabic language existed since 500, 600 AD. People today still speak Arabic. They have one religion, Islam. They speak Arabic, one language. You guys claim to not miss not one Shabbat since the first temple. But you guys still don't know how to read and write Paleo Hebrew. Well, tell me what happened. What happened, Harry Roseman? What happened? Tell me.
You could ask Ezra and Nehemiah, because I'm sure this was already the same time they started writing the Asherah.
Ezra and Nehemiah, I can't ask them because they're dead. They're dead. They've been dead. So how am I supposed to ask them? So why can't you tell me the answer since you followed every Shabbat since the first temple? Why you don't know how to speak and read Paleo Hebrew? That's what they was reading back there. They weren't reading this modern Hebrew, block Hebrew that we call today Hebrew.
All right, let him answer real quick, Avram.
Your answer. Let me go back. I'm going to be very blunt right now. Let me go back to the basic things.
Were the children of Israel, according to Genesis chapter 10. Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons. For real, and these were the children of Israel, according to Genesis chapter 10. These were the children of Israel, according to Genesis chapter 10. These were the children of Israel, according to Genesis chapter 10.